The casual racism epidemic, the slow poison killing your school's culture. Hi, I'm Eric Argyman, and in this episode of Confronting School Bullying, we're diving into one of the most overlooked threats in today's schools, casual racism. Today's theme is more than just a topic for me. It's actually my story. You know, as a primary student, as a high school student, I lived through daily teasing and racial bullying. To be honest and vulnerable, it left a mark. And that's why today's episode matters so much to me. So let's get into it. You see, some of the most dangerous racism in schools doesn't show up in the news. It shows up in jokes, in group chats, in the nicknames that no teacher hears, and it's quietly poisoning your school culture. When we think of racism, we picture overt hate or slurs, but casual racism is different. It's subtle, often disguised as humor or ignorance. Things like, where are you really from? You don't sound black. It was just a joke. Don't be too sensitive. You see, 7 in 10 students of color in Australia report experiencing racial teasing by their peers. In a 2023 Reach Out survey, students said that race-based jokes were the most common form of discrimination they witnessed at school. The problem with casual racism is that it teaches students of color, you don't really belong here. And for staff and leaders who don't step in, silence becomes complicity. One school that I visited, I had a young boy who told me that some of what I shared in my keynote about how I was teased and targeted, that he also experiences the same thing. Emotionally, as he shared with me, you could tell that there was some pain behind those words. You see, words are just not jokes, but they're actually cuts. And over time, it actually hurts students' self-esteem and even their identity. When casual racism is normalized, a school will pay the price. How? Well, it lowers the attendance amongst the culturally diverse students. It erodes this trust in staff. It leads to increased anxiety and internalized shame and peer conflict. And the biggest cost? Well, it's a fractured school culture where only some students, based on their background, feel safe to show up as themselves. Schools can no longer afford to stay silent on this issue. You see, here's the shift that's possible for every school: to not just punish, but actually to educate students to begin to recognize this. Casual racism stems from ignorance, not hate, but ignorance. And that's an opportunity for growth. Here's what the leading schools are doing right now to create inclusive, anti-racist cultures. These are some of the schools that I've been able to work with. Number 1, impact over intent. Teaching students that I didn't mean it doesn't erase the hurt. Just because they didn't intend to doesn't erase the impacts that it's had. Number 2, the language for upstanders. You see, we can empower students by giving them words to interrupt racism without escalating conflict. In other words, phrases like, hey, that might be funny to you, but actually that hurts people. Or perhaps, let's not say that. That's just lame. Or perhaps you want to say, hey, we don't say that here. We don't talk like that here. And number 3 is educational consequences, not just detentions. In other words, turning incidents into teachable moments. You see, some schools now use a peer-led restorative conversation or diversity workshops led by trained facilitators in order to achieve this. This is part of what I do in schools as well, and part of what we offer, because the goal isn't to create fear around saying the wrong thing, but rather the goal is to create and build a culture where students want to say the right thing. And I strongly believe that this is possible for every school. You see, when we call out, or when you call out casual racism and educate through it, you create a culture of respect, not repression. You know, students from all different backgrounds then begin to feel safe. They begin to feel seen. They begin to feel supported. And the benefits of this, my goodness, it goes way beyond the schoolyard. When students learn to value differences at school, they bring that same energy into the community, into workplaces, and into future friendships and relationships. As someone who was teased daily and racially bullied, I have the lived experience that many of your students are most likely also experiencing to some level or some extent. You see, if your school is ready to go beyond policies and actually shift the culture, this is where it starts. We can work together through my keynote and Up Centers and Belonging workshop. We will address the casual racism at your school head on using real conversations, real stories, and real tools to really help ignite reflection and change in your students. Not only that, but also we provide staff PD training as well around some of these topics and really empowering teachers on how they can respond proactively and effectively when there are reports of casual racism. You see, I believe that school-wide strategies that embed respect into the daily rhythm is how we can begin to champion our young people, is how we can decide and be able to allow for the diversity in our schools to be perhaps a strength and not a weakness. So click on the website below or the link below, get in touch, let's have a conversation, and let's help stamp out casual racism in your school today.